There's only one thing that we love more than eating food with chopsticks, and that's photography.
Hey, welcome back to the Panoptic Chopsticks Photography Show, where we bring the fun back to photography.
Yeah, you know, it's been a long time since we've been in studio doing our weekly show.
Long time.
But it's not because we haven't wanted to do it. We have been so busy with so many things. What have we been doing? We've been doing workshops. We've been doing a bunch of special projects, a lot of those. And just our regular photography work, our personal work that we actually pay the bills with. So
man, it feels good to be back in the studio, and thank you for watching. We are so glad you're here. And don't forget, before we even get started, to hit that subscribe button below. That always alerts you to all the brand new stuff that we have coming out. We've got a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah, we've got some great stuff, I think, coming out for the summer. Some great tips and tricks and news. So today we're going to start with some Panoptic news bites.
That's right.
But that's right.
Coming up.
Stay tuned, because
today is all about sports and action, right? We've been can't even talk. Hey, it's been so long, but we've been on kind of the sports and action kick lately.
Yeah.
And we have got the 5 tips
that you don't want to miss.
You don't want to miss. That's coming up later.
That's right. So stay tuned.
But first, we have some Panoptic chopstick news bites. That's right. So what's going new in the world of news that we thought was interesting? At least I thought it was interesting.
So, you know, the one thing that everybody seems to be up in arms this week has been Adobe's so-called announcement of moving Photoshop, Lightroom from the $9 model up to $20 per item.
The subscription model that everybody seems to complain about, which I actually really like, the subscription model. But that was the big thing. I heard that in the news, and people went crazy. It kind of lit up the internet with, what do you mean you're doubling the price? And I called you and said, did you see what Adobe's doing? They're doubling the price. And you're like, hold on, cowboy. Let's look at this a little deeper.
So this is how big it is. Last night, I spoke at a photo club, local photo club. And that was one of the first things somebody said was, they raised their hand, not to me, but before it even started, and said, is somebody going to talk about the fact that Adobe's going to go to $20? And these are just people that are just casual users. Mm-hmm. And,
So we dug a little deeper.
We did.
And found out that it's actually a test Adobe is doing. And it's not showing up on everybody's computer when they pull it up. But they were testing to see comfort for pricing structure.
Here's the problem that Adobe gets knocked on a lot. Everybody thinks that every Adobe user is just like them.
Right.
But there are so many different types of Adobe users, and I think Adobe would say, you know, the people who really, they care about all of us, but I think they really care about their business users when it comes to creating these models.
So they still, if you go to their website now, they changed the website again.
Yeah. As
of this morning, it shows $9.99 for Lightroom and Photoshop and 20 gigabytes of cloud storage. Yeah. Or $20 Lightroom, Photoshop, and 1 terabyte of storage. So if you want to use their cloud storage, it's maybe not the cheapest way to go, but it's the way to go. So,
and I think a lot of people, when it first came out, I was one of those ones that said, wow, this is really dumb to name this Creative Cloud, because I don't want to work in a cloud. Yeah. And that threw them, and everybody went, no. It was just a clever name, because that was a big trendy word to use, was cloud, right? Everything was cloud, this, cloud, that. But, man, things have changed in a couple of years.
Yep.
I actually believe that here's where it's going. Adobe knows that it's maybe only 2 years away. Maybe it's 4 years away, where we will be putting all of our 4K video, all of our raw images in the cloud, and you will be able to edit on your phone.
Everything's moving that way.
Yeah.
But I just want to say to everybody, simmer down, folks. It's not a big deal. They're a company that has to make profit, whether they're doing it right or wrong. Sometimes I think Adobe's messaging gets really messed up, but they still have that $9.99. If you're not on that, that's a great deal. $120 for a year, you get all that.
No, it's still,
you can't beat it.
The thing to be using. So it's hard to see us not using the Adobe products.
So the next one that threw people into a tizzy this week was Canon. You know what did you read about that? The flash mount?
So here's the very first thing. This is the problem with our community, and we do the same thing. It's the knee jerk, right? Canon is doing away on all their cameras with the universal pin that's going to allow them to fire third-party flashes.
Yep. Which is a big deal, right?
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal, because people, that maybe have their young, new flashes, or their men's flashes, or all the other flashes out there that aren't Canon flashes, they won't work anymore. Question is, will your universal triggers still work, right? I don't know. It's one of those things.
But again, digging a little deeper, and Canon announced that on their entry-level DSLR, they're going to remove that pin. I don't know for what reason, but simmer down. You've got the 5D, you've got your 7D, you've got your all those cameras.
This is on a $400 camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so
It may be just the fact that it's cheaper to make that shoe for a customer who's not using off-camera flash. So the problem is we're not engineers.
No.
And there's a reason. Generally, we find
there's a reason why we're not engineers. That's for sure.
no different than oh no, it only has one card slot. When now we realize, Nikon realized they don't need 2 card slots because everything's going to these CFast cards that are no more than an SSD chip that goes to your camera. They're not going to fail.
Like you say, like I said before too, simmer down, folks. We just don't know. I'm looking at our monitor here, Mark, and I just realized we didn't really announce to everybody that we are in our brand new set today.
Yeah.
I just hey, I really like the way this looks. And it's nice because we have our projection behind us so we can show stuff. It's we're glad to be in this new set.
Yeah.
It feels very homey and comfortable.
It does.
We call it the apartment set, but I like it. I like it. So hey, the next bit of news.
Yeah, tell me.
Is from B&H called Playboo.
Yeah.
But Playboo is a funny name.
Yeah, it is. But it's again up in arms, right? Everybody said because of this Supreme Court decision that everybody now is having to collect sales tax. And people went, oh no, isn't that what people said? Oh, that's why I don't shop locally because I can save hundreds of dollars.
That's why what B&H built their business on and why they're the most successful is because they didn't charge sales tax to out-of-state purchases. Yeah. And they were very competitive on pricing. So why would I buy it locally if I have to pay a couple $100 in sales tax?
Yeah. If I could save, $200-300 on a camera body versus buying it here locally in California, that's a big chunk of money for most people.
I think B&H kind of went into panic mode there. Like, there's our business, right? All of our online sales, which constitutes for most of their sales, could potentially be gone. So what they did is they came up with a pretty ingenious plan. I don't know how legally they're kind of getting around this or how, but they came up with a little scheme that they have their own private credit card.
Yeah,
it's not a Visa, it's not a MasterCard, American Express. It's a B&H credit card called Playboo. And what it does is you purchase your B&H products on your B&H credit card, and they, on the same invoice, the same receipt, they have to charge you the sales tax, but they credit back
the sales tax
in the amount of a refund on that same receipt. So you're not paying the sales tax even though you're paying the sales tax. So that makes sense. Yeah. But it's pretty ingenious way of doing things. It also is ingenious for a business perspective because it locks you into still shopping at B&H, because once I have that credit card, it's been shown that people that have a credit card, just like a Macy's credit card, a Nordstrom's credit card, a gas card even, you use that, right? So that they're smart to do that.
Is that why all my clothes come from Kohl's?
That's because you have that Kohl's card.
So
that's right.
That's right.
But that's what's happening. But I thought that was pretty ingenious and actually a really smart move.
Yeah.
But,
so I think what you said in the beginning is simmer down, folks. Like anytime you see some of these industry, and you know why? Because what do we say? We say we want to bring the fun back to photography. We don't have to get worked up about photography. This is a medium that should be fun. And when there's changes in the industry, I can't do anything about it other than go out and take some fun, great pictures and enjoy it. So
hey, we have coming up our five tips for sports and action photography. You don't want to miss that. But let's come up next. Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about natural light versus flash.
Right. So, we said we've been working on a lot of special projects. So one of the projects that we had a chance to work on was shooting this group of mountain bikers. And man, what a great night that was.
I realized why I am not a mountain biker after shooting this thing. Why I'm just a photographer and not a mountain biker. Those guys were insane. Big air.
Yeah. And you know what was exciting for us is that these guys weren't 20 years old. These guys were, in their 30s, and they were still getting it. So it was fun to see. They weren't old, but man.
So yeah, it was a blast. But we went out there and shot this, and we wanted to come up with a few things besides the end result. But we came up with a few challenges actually for Mark and I to go through, because we were having a discussion in the car on the way over, like, okay, what do you think's gonna be better? How should we light this? And you're like, I don't know, we should. I'm like, what are you talking about? We always talk about light, right? Yeah. And so we're like, okay, let's do some challenges.
It was a little bit overcast that night, so our lighting was looking really good for natural light.
Natural light is the way to go. I said, you gotta be kidding me.
So on a couple of the setups,
What do we do?
we just decided, okay, I'm going to shoot natural light. You're going to shoot with the flash,
Yep.
and let's see what we get, and let's find out. Because a lot of times you don't really grasp things until you do it and you fail, and then you start going, oh, I'm going to learn from that failure, and I'm not going to do this again,
Yeah.
or wow, I do like this way. I will tell you though, right away, I'm the guy that shot natural light. They've been posting, those mountain bikers, a lot of those natural light photos, which I do kind of scratch my head sometimes.
Sometimes they just don't know what to do.
So
No, but here's the cool thing. So my lighting setup, we started building a lighting setup. One light, S1, add another one, S1. We actually ended up doing a 3-light setup.
Yeah.
2 of them had the large cone on it, which, the cone is this big. It's called a deep reflector.
that's
Right, it's 12.
If you want to see the entire shoot, we'll put a link up here,
Yeah, we'll do
and
that.
you can watch that video that
We've got a whole
goes through
behind
the
the scenes
entire.
kind of shoot of that.
Yep.
It's a pretty cool video. But so we shot that with that, and you shot natural light. So in fact, we got this picture up here,
Okay.
and you can see it, Mark, that I shot this. We've got these, a couple different mountain bikers coming through, and I want to make sure I lit them all, right?
Exactly, and it's very dynamic. It's definitely
I
you
think
know
it
where
looks
to
amazing.
look.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And to see it happen live was even more amazing. To see them crisscrossing, one going under while one's going over. But while you were shooting that,
You shot.
I was a little bit further away from you, shooting a little bit longer, and here's the shot that I got.
So it's good.
That's kind of in that same series. That was the second jumper.
Yeah. So here's the benefit, right? I like your shot, but to me, my eye is drawn more to the just
It is.
punchy
Uh-huh.
color. But here's the thing. I got one shot of this sequence. You got 5.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Per
I
second.
went click.
Yeah, I had at least
That's
10
all I could
images
do because
to
I had a
choose from.
second before I could recharge.
Yeah.
You were like click, 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 click. So I maybe missed the right opportunity. In fact, there was one shot that I don't think we have up here of a guy kind of doing an endo, right? He came down his front wheel and came over the handlebars. You got the whole thing.
Yep.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of dark spots, but nothing good.
So it's a little bit like shooting natural light in a way.
Yep.
It's about sometimes you've got to be ready to capture a moment. But again, I think here's where we realize, if I was covering this as an event, like you hired me to come out to capture
a mountain bike race.
a mountain bike race, I'm shooting natural light because of that reason. They're coming around the corner, they're coming over the
You can
jump.
move.
I'm ready to get that action that's going to happen. If I'm being hired by the grip company to create an ad, I'm lighting that thing.
Yeah, so like
because it's much more dynamic.
Kyle here, these pictures he's sponsored by Vans, by Smith Goggles, by all these different
Scentsy
people.
grips. Yeah. he's
So
got
if I'm shooting for one of their products, it's gonna be lit. But you can see on this next picture. In fact, if you look at this, Mark, this is why I like shooting with light. Look at the sky in that thing, right? I can actually see that.
Yeah.
Over clouds in the
There
sky.
was getting some cool light going on back there.
In fact, flip to the next picture.
Okay. So on this next one, I shot this one natural light. It's a white sky,
It's a white
right?
sky.
You can see a tiny bit of blue up in there, but for the most part, it's a white sky.
Now, in some ways, that's not bad on this picture because in this particular one, he's not so much in competition with the trees; he's in competition with that white sky. So, like, he's much clearer. Sometimes natural light, I notice, there's so much competition with other stuff, right? They're not focused on.
Yep.
So even if we go to the next one, look at him coming over this berm, right? I just love the way that light looks.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. It doesn't look natural. It looks flashed, right?
Mhm.
But it
But
looks
that's okay.
cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I think why we've been drawn lately to some sports projects is the fact that it looks very dynamic. It draws you. It's like, that's an awesome shot.
Yeah. So, hey, as we're going through these, do us a favor. Right now, write down in the comments, just type in and say natural light or flash.
Yeah.
Which do you think is better? Which would you use? Right? We'd love to hear from you guys. So I think we've got another picture coming up.
Yep. So the next shot was very similar to that same shot of Kyle coming over. But here was one of the reasons I chose this to show this particular image is the fact that there was a lot of times where you were missing in the middle of the jump. You were trying to catch him on that apex of the jump, but a lot of times he would hit that apex and he'd let go of a hand, or when he'd get done, he'd go, "Did you get me grabbing the tire?"
Right.
And you're going, and luckily I'm there going click, 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 and going, "Yeah, I got it." So again, it's capturing the moments, but it again has to do with why are you shooting these images? Are you shooting them because they're cool? Are you shooting them for a client? Or are you shooting to capture the event?
So one thing that I found is that, and we found this from, we've been shooting, like I said, a ton of sports stuff. We're going out shooting rodeo next week. It's hard.
It really
we're
is.
portrait guys, right? I mean, that's what we do for a living. But shooting sports is a whole
Yeah.
different world. I got to hand it to these guys that really do it well. I think we succeeded, but.
And I can honestly say, if you've never gone out and done a very fast sport, rodeo, mountain bikers, runners, whatever it is, speedboats, NASCAR, you're not going to go out and nail it the first time.
Yeah.
Because just focusing alone, how difficult was that to maintain focus while you're being bitten by mosquitoes?
And we'll get more of that in a second.
Exactly. But I think the next two images that we have coming up
Yeah.
make a really good point.
Because we are going to cover a lot of stuff in our 5 tips.
Yes.
So hang on for that point.
That's right.
Go ahead. You were saying that.
But like for instance, so this next one that you took,
Yeah.
this is another one that is so cool. It's so well lit. You knew exactly where to look. But it's almost to the point where, other than he's bright, he's still competing now with a completely dark background. Again, I think in publication, that sells well. I mean, it's again, we keep using the word dynamic because I think it really is dynamic. But look at the next photo where I'm shooting with the natural light.
He's flying.
Luckily,
cool shot.
Luckily, he was in a position to where he's not competing with that tree. He's kind of right in that little apex of the trees.
Yeah, if you would have been over, or you would have been over slightly, the shot would have been disastrous,
Yeah.
right? Not because he would have crashed into you, but just because he would have been lost in that tree. The thing, about my previous shot that we just showed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's show it again. The thing that's cool about using light is you look at the guy down in the blue shirt.
Yeah.
Right, he's lit. Kyle in the air is lit. Like if this was natural light, the guy in the blue would have been dark as can be because he was totally in that shadow area.
Yeah.
That's all lit because of the monolight. So that's where the monolight shined, as it came literally.
Yeah.
Because it came through and brightened up areas that weren't necessarily bright.
Yeah.
So I love this. The next shot.
But before we get going,
So
here's one of the things with this shot. This is something that I found out really fast when I got home. Is that so? I was shooting in this little section at an 800th of a second.
Okay.
So when I got home, this guy in this picture right here, he's tack sharp. You know why? He's not the pro rider. Kyle, if we go back to one back right there,
Yep.
When you blow this up, it looks good right here. But when I blew it up, there's motion blur with Kyle, even at an 800th of a second.
In natural light.
In natural light, because he was going twice as fast, twice as high as everybody else.
Flying.
I mean, he was
Flying
down that thing. So again, there's things in sports that can really throw you. The back of the camera lies to you because you're going, 800th, I can freeze action. There was no way that I could freeze Kyle less than like a 1250th of a second. Anything lower, I was borderline at 1,000th of a second on a couple shots, but everything 1250 and over, he was tack sharp. Anything below that.
And I didn't have to worry about that so much with flash, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the advantage you have.
I could get it pretty well. I think I was shooting at most with high speed sync at like 800 and above, but I could do it slower than
Exactly.
you could at natural.
Because you're shooting so dark that flash duration so fast, you were freezing the action with the light.
Yep.
So
hey, I love this next shot. Why do I love it? Because it's got the S1 with the big reflector in it. So you guys can actually see what that's like. I mean, this thing, I gotta tell you, if you're using any kind of monolights and you have, well, this is the Interfit one, so it fits on a Bowens mount. You can use it on your Godox, anything that has a Bowens mount. Get one of these big reflectors. It doubles the output of your light.
Yeah.
Right.
Which allows you, again, we don't mind that we're having harsher light. I can double the distance of how far away from my
say.
subject.
Double the distance than the output, but
and throw more light further. So
it just pops a wall up of power because it, again, it's like we needed a lot of light on these guys to shoot them with light and high speed sync. So
and with a lesser light, we would have had to like with a flash. This light would have to be on the jump to get enough light out of a single flash to really make it dynamic, like we were thinking.
So on this last cut here, Kyle going around this berm. I love this shot. Now this was the funny thing about these. Like you and I both, when we shot our shots, were laying on the ground, right? Yeah. And we'll talk more again about these 5 tips, but we ate a lot of dirt.
A lot of dirt. I remember the first picture, and this might have been the shot you took. I just remember every time they'd go past you, I'd hear, "Ow!"
I mean, he came past and he was, like we say, Kyle flies. He's a pro biker. he's coming down this thing, and his tail kicks out just right when he gets past this little rock.
Not dirt, pea gravel.
It was like, just. Luckily, my camera, I know to swing my camera down, but it was like all in the face and the hair. All the way home driving, I had like rocks in my hair, but it was fun. But again, this was a lit picture. It works really well in this situation.
That picture's so lit.
It's lit, man. But all I have to say, I don't know. What do you think? We challenged ourselves, and we came away from that night. We didn't have a winner.
No. And then again, what was so crazy is, later in the night we both shot flash. Once that started to drop and the natural light was gone, I just was shooting with flash the rest of the night. But Kyle and his friends, man, they've been posting Instagram a lot of those natural light shots. And they're like, not shots that I'm like going, this is so much better. I actually like the lit shots because that's the style that you and I both.
But you know what I think about your natural light shots? You took into account different angles than I did, right? Because I was really concentrating on the light more than the composition, which is probably not the way to go. I look at your shots we showed. You have a different composition that I find very attractive and very compelling in your pictures. My compositions maybe aren't as compelling.
Okay.
So that might be something that they're looking at, is like the shots you have show big air, right? Mine are showing coolly lit, cool guy flying.
Yeah, exactly. Cool angles.
So, it's a difference, and I think if yours were lit with your angles, it might.
Yeah, and again, hats off to those guys that do this all the time. Yeah. Again, if you think that you can just go out and become this professional mountain bike photographer, hey, more power to you. But I'll bet you're going to find it's going to take you a dozen times before you even start going, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. So we look forward to doing it again.
Do it again. But hey, like Mark mentioned, don't forget to hit that video. We've got a link up here as well as down in the comment section. That you get to see all behind the scenes of our
it was a fun
mountain biking experience, and you get to see what happened to both of us, but more to me than to Mark. And we have coming up next the 5 tips to sports and action photography.
Hoi!
All right, we're back for that moment you have all been waiting for.
Yes.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 fabulous tips from the Chopstick guys on how to shoot sports and action photography like a pro.
That's right.
You know what my first one is, Mr. Behrens? Okay, so I have to give you a little backstory for this one.
Okay.
The first one is bring mosquito or bug spray. Mosquito repellent or bug spray. So we're in Walmart, right? We had to pick up some other supplies. We're in Walmart, and I say, dude, I think we need to get some bug spray. Like, for what? I'm like, the mosquitoes are going to be bad. No, there's no mosquitoes. We're going to the fire burn area, right?
Exactly. There's no trees,
there's no water. It's all burnt out. I said, dude, trust me. It's mosquito season. No, we don't need it. I said, do you have any? No. Okay, fine. I gave up. Guess what? If you watch that behind the scenes video, you will see we were eaten alive. I still have marks on me, on my elbows.
It was a bad night. It was the worst I've ever seen.
I had on one arm, on my left arm, 71 mosquito bites and I was going to say from sleep. No, they were through my shirt all the way down my arm. That was one arm. 68 on this one, and then my legs.
So the next night on the local news, they had a big story about excessive mosquitoes, especially in the burn areas, because all these areas now are holding small amounts of water.
So this guy, he did not live that one down. And I actually have blood coming down my leg, both those spots.
Here's some of my. I actually fear mosquito repellent, and you know why?
Yes, that's a great tip.
This is a great tip, is because I don't know if you know this, but most of your insect repellents will eat the rubber off of your cameras.
They will.
So you want to make sure when you're handling it, you're not getting on your hands. All the grips when you went to Africa fell off
I
of
had
your
3 different times. I replaced
810.
the rubber molding grip on all of my cameras 3 different times because Africa, Dominican Republic, and El Salvador, each one of those I had to use very bad
heavy.
repellent.
Exactly, because you
the full-on DET stuff. But it just eats away, and the rubber just suddenly just slides off your camera. So be very, very cautious about using any kind of mosquito repellent. Some lotions will do that too.
Yep.
Don't get it on the palms of your hands. Don't get it where you're going to be touching anything rubber, not just your camera.
Yeah, so carry wet wipes and make sure you're nice and clean.
But it's bad. So that was tip number 1.
Is mosquito repellent.
Tip number 2.
Yeah, tip number 2, we addressed it a little bit in just that last segment, but it is when you're shooting sports, make sure you're shooting over 1,000th of a second.
Oh, yeah.
It is so easy to think that, oh, my flashes are freezing the action, or it's bright enough, or the action's not as fast as I think it is. Save yourself a lot of grief and keep it over 1,000. I hear a lot of people go, "Oh, 500 is fast enough for any type of sports."
Keep it faster.
It's not.
Faster is better.
Yeah,
Faster is wiser.
the faster you can shoot, the better. If you want to freeze the action.
Okay, I'm gonna eat my words here. You ready?
Okay.
Light's not always right. Oh, the pain, the anguish.
It's both of us, so.
But no, light is not always right. There were times that I think back to my event shooting days where I was doing a lot of events, a lot of concerts, that kind of stuff, where you just can't use light. If you need to shoot something that you're mobile and running around like we should have been doing, or you were doing, I wasn't because I was using light. Light was non-light, natural light. Running without lights, however you want to phrase it, I think is better in a lot of cases.
There are times when it's a must.
So I did use that word always.
Yes.
Is not always. I love my pictures that are lit.
Yeah,
I
do too.
also love your pictures that aren't lit because of some of the things that you were able to do. You were able to concentrate, like I mentioned,
A little bit more
last
on
thing
composition.
and angles because you weren't worried about light recycle, about light, that kind of stuff. So,
And I was able to catch them in the moment doing the things that they want to do.
which allowed you to do something.
Yeah. So here's one of the other things is low is the way to go. That's tip number 4. So angles, getting low to the ground. And again, the older we get, the harder we make excuses like, oh, this is low enough. I'm at waist level.
So you should have heard us
Yeah.
out there. Here's all these mountain bike guys that are just like, what's the matter? We walked, no joke. We walked up 3 miles uphill.
Yeah, your phone.
Both
we looked
ways.
at it afterwards,
Both ways.
and this was to the top of a hill.
We were making jokes at the bottom. We're like, we're going up there.
Top of the hill.
We went to the top
That's
hill.
where we ended.
But
up.
anyways, so but getting low.
It's getting low. I mean, literally on a lot of our shots, our cameras were anywhere from 2 to 6 inches the lens off the ground,
Or even on the ground.
or even on the ground, laying on the ground. You've got to be able to get low to get those dynamic shots. A lot of the shots where you went, some of yours you look a little bit like it's more up in the air. I think it was the angles that I had on it, but it was the fact of I'm able to get super low and shoot up, which makes them look higher in the air. We see that in rodeo a lot of times. We did an interview last year. I'll put a link up to it with Matt Cohen, who talked a lot about being in the right place for the right type of
He's always got
sports.
the best angle.
Yeah, he shoots also for the San Jose Sharks, for hockey. And again, he always talks about you've got to know what your background looks like. You need to know what angles are going to work, what's going to make it look dynamic. And man, for these sports stuff, low, low, low. Not be lazy and
Low is the way to go.
I can hold it. So that's number 4. What do you have for tip number 5?
Tip number 5 is dynamic focus. So here's something that when we first went out there, I said, "Hey, Mark, you got to try this." I've been trying it for a few other times. We're both back button focusers on a single point focus because we're portrait guys by trade, right? So I'm just concerned about eyeballs and focus and that kind of thing. So I'm, focus.
And I know all the Sony guys are going to go, I focus. I focus on a guy wearing goggles and a helmet.
Doesn't work as well.
So
we use this dynamic focus. That's what Nikon calls it. Others call it matrix focus and different things. But it's basically
they call it the dynamic area.
Yeah, dynamic area. So you've got all these different focus points that work the exact same way as single point focus until something moves.
Yeah.
Right. And so once you've locked on, it's going to just move to that next point, or get you a wider focus area. Made all the difference in the world because I didn't miss focus.
No, I was shocked at how well it held up doing the sports.
So use dynamic focus. A lot of these have a 3D focusing system. You can try that as well. But that made all the difference in the world because if I would have tried to do my standard back button focus single shot, I would have missed every one of them because by the time I'm looking through, they've moved and then everything's toasted.
So there are 5 tips.
5 tips
on how to improve your
Do you feel
sports
like
and
you're a better
action
sports photographer
photographer.
after all these things we've been doing?
I do, but you know what? I feel like I have so much more to learn. Like I want to go out 20 more times with these mountain bikers, and then I think I'm going to have a grasp on how to do it better.
So I think I have a starting of a grasp.
Grasp, I know.
Well, it's funny because you say that we've been taking pictures for 20, 25, 30 years because we're old. But no, we've been taking pictures for a long time. I'm still learning stuff about portrait work. And
exactly.
So I don't think...
Little on jumping into somebody else's profession and saying, I'm the expert now because I did it once.
Yeah.
It's no different than, your concert stuff. Trying to jump in and go, now I'm as good as Steve because I shot 2 concerts. No, it doesn't work that way. There's so many variables that you can't account for. We had great light that night.
Yep.
What do we do the next time when the sun's straight up? What do we do when it's raining? What do you do?
All
There's
the
all
time.
kinds of things that happen.
So hey, if you have your own tips and tricks for shooting sports or shooting anything in general, go ahead and put those in the comments below.
Yeah, we'd love to
We
hear
would
them.
love to hear them. And since you got this far into this show, go ahead and like and subscribe. We'd appreciate that too. But as always, we thank you for joining us today, and don't forget,
Say sushi.